fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kiru's show here. And now, whenever we last left off with this series, Izuku Midoriya, he found himself reincarnated into another world. And he found that he kept his original body. Now, this was quite a surprise. Midoriya, from what villagers did tell him, he was found nearly dead by the river. And he was then taken in by them. Midoriya, he did begin to help out wherever he could. And for 1 week, Midoriya, he began to grow accustomed to this new world. However, on the 7th night, Midoriya was at this place, or in this world, he was betrayed. The town Midoriya was staying in sold him out to bandits, since they had no money for protection fees. And the bandits, in return, killed everyone in the village and grabbed who they could, selling the survivors out for gold. Now, Midoriya, he was then sold to a wealthy man and branded as a slave. Now, Midoriya, he was then thrown in a dungeon. And we will pick up with Midoriya, not the next day, or hours later. We will pick up with him 5 months since the first day, where Midoriya, he's laying down. He can feel it as his eyes do open. He didn't die in his sleep, and he's already off to a bad start to his morning, as he does take a deep breath in of the cold air, before he does let it out. Midoriya, seeing how cold it is, as he does then go to stand up, turn around, and grab the metal bars and pull himself up to look. Since he had a feeling. It's currently somewhere in the middle of the snowing season. And Midoriya, he does find that he's once again stuck in the cold. He's been like this for about 3 weeks. Every single day. He either almost dies of hypothermia and then gets healed, or he does train more intensely enough to keep himself alive. The more and more hot Midoriya gets his body, the better his chances of survival are. As Midoriya, we do have today where somebody they do walk downstairs and directly into Midoriya's view. Midoriya, him going to stand up and walk directly towards the bars. As Midoriya, he does see that it's one of these servants. Now, Midoriya hardly even says anything anymore. And he doesn't really need to. The last time he was disobedient, he almost had his tongue cut out of his own mouth. And they made an example of Midoriya by taking the tip of it. Now, Midoriya, yeah. The servant, they do go to set something down directly in front of the cage. Before they do slide it inside and then go to stand up. Is this it? Midoriya would say. The person then looking up at Midoriya, as they do just nod slowly. Today, you will be training once again, tougher, and you'll be going out into the cold. Understood. Good. That is what the master does require. Today he has a specialized task for you. Now, the servant, they would walk to the left and go to reach into a cupboard. Her pulling out a bow, as she does also then pull out a quiver. And she does then walk over, grab the key, and go to unlock Midoriya's cell. Now, as the door does swing open, Midoriya he does think. The first time this door ever swung open, he smashed into the person in front of him. And he tried to run off. However, that's whenever that slave crest on his neck activated. And the collar took form. The amount of pain these crests do cause somebody. It is slow. Permanently, however, it feels like you have something around your neck. Vines with thorns on them. They are always uncomfortable, and they provide an uneasy feeling to you for every single day you exist. They let you know that you are not an individual. And Midoriya, he can hardly even feel that numb little pain anymore. However, if you defy orders you were given, the pain will grow intenser, and in quantity. The most Midoriya has ever felt was worse than the time he died. And he prayed for death the last time he resisted. Now, Midoriya, he does take the bow and arrow, as the servant would then hand Midoriya a jacket, informing that this jacket was supposed to be thrown out. However, the master is allowing Midoriya to wear it for this trip. Now, Midoriya he would nod, as he's then allowed to leave the mansion and enter the woods nearby. Now, Midoriya he is looking around, and he does use what he's been taught to hunt down deer and animals in the forest for their feast. Now, we do pick up with Midoriya about the day he was captured, and the day after he was branded. Now, Midoriya, he is laying down in his cell, and he does go to reach for the back of his neck. It feels incredibly painful, and he can't even feel it. The area that was burned, it hurts so much, but at the same time it's numbed. He can't tell what happened. Now, we do then have for somebody they do come walking up, as it's one of the mercenaries that they capture Midoriya. Alright, kid. You know what to do, don't you? I'm not listening to you. You don't have much of a choice. Now, this is where the men, they do order Midoriya to stand up and come out here. They're going to train him to be that champion for his battles. As if I'd listen to you. You're not listening to us. You're listening to your master. I'm not a slave. That crest on your neck says otherwise. Now, Midoriya, he does grit his teeth, as he does go to stand up and rush towards the bars of the cell. Him grabbing onto them as he does scream at them. He is going to get free one day, and when he does, he's going to take them all out. Is that a threat? The man does say. Him going to jam his hand in between the bars and grab Midoriya by his throat. Him instructing Midoriya of his new purpose in life. Now, as it does happen, the man does let go of Midoriya after Midoriya's master does walk down the staircase. And he does talk about how his champion, he does have a lot of fight in him. And they will be putting that to very good use. Now, the man, he does directly look at Midoriya and tell him that will he comply willingly or will he have to give an order? As if I'd listen to you, Midoriya would say as he is sitting on his butt. And he refuses to stand up. I see. Well then, the man does say, him bringing up his hand and holding it out. Stand. Now, Midoriya, he doesn't move, as he does go to open his mouth and say no. Now, before the words can even leave Midoriya's lips, you do have where Midoriya, he does feel the thing on the back of his neck activate. And this is where Midoriya, he does feel something wrap around his neck. Before, he does feel the pain. And his body begins to move on its own. Midoriya is trying to fight. However, he's having difficulties. His hands and legs, they're moving on their own. As Midoriya, his hands do go downwards to get him to stand up. Midoriya trying to fight with his legs as they don't respond to what he's telling them to. Now, the man does comment marvelous. It seems that the ceremony was perfect. Now, the man does then tell Midoriya, from this day forwards, he is going to be training every day. And if he refuses this order, then the pain, him then explaining the slave crest to Midoriya and how it does work. Now, the man then does order Midoriya to train for the next 5 hours. As Midoriya, he does begin to do so. Him dropping to the floor and doing push-ups. Now, Midoriya, he does try to resist. And you do actually have where after 20 minutes of doing push-ups straight, Midoriya's arms, they do feel weak. However, Midoriya, his body just responds to the pain. And Midoriya, he does then begin to stand up. Midoriya thinking it's over as he does flip over and begin to do sit-ups. Now, Midoriya is quite confused. As after the 5 hours, Midoriya, he's laying on the ground. And he feels exhausted. Now, Midoriya, he can feel the pain in his body. Him going to look down at his hands as he does find it will be quite strange. Now, Midoriya, he is then given a meal. And he does try to get answers from the servant that did bring it to him. Who are you? The person looking directly at him. Not saying a single word as Midoriya, he does see the look in her eyes. Now, that look, Midoriya, he's never seen it before. That's the look of somebody utterly hopeless and with no desire to live anymore. Now, as the person they do go to lean down and go to scoot this tray in, Midoriya, he does grab her by her wrist. As she does go to try and pull backwards away from Midoriya immediately. Hey, who are you? Listen to me. What is your name? Now, Midoriya, he can see the look on this girl's face. She has utter disgust on it, and pure terror and fear. Now, Midoriya, he doesn't think much of it, as the girl, she does pull away more, and Midoriya, he does tear the sleeve that was covering her forearm off. Now, the girl does fall backwards, and a loud crash can be heard. As you do have where men do come running downstairs. And they do see Midoriya sitting down in the prison cell with a piece of cloth in his hand. And the girl who is leaning up against the wall with her uniform torn. Now, Midoriya, he does go to open his mouth and apologize, as he does see the scars on her arm. Now, Midoriya, he's disgusted. Those scars. She's a prisoner too. Now, the men, they do open the cell door. As Midoriya, he does try to stand up and rush out. And the men, they do simply just beat him down. Now, this routine does somewhat go on for a week. Midoriya being ordered to train every day. As you do then have where after about 3 weeks, Midoriya, he finally is allowed to step outside of his prison cell. Now, Midoriya, he is standing there. And he does then turn around to see what he used to call home. This place is disturbing to him quite a bit. However, Midoriya does think. Him deciding to try and run. He's been left alone. Whenever he woke up, the door was left open. They forgot to lock it. Midoriya, knowing that this is his chance, as he does then run up the staircase. Now, as Midoriya does run up the staircase, he does then look around the mansion. Him running towards the kitchen, since he does smell fresh food. Now, Midoriya does run in. Him looking at everything that is set out directly on the table. Now, Midoriya grabs the biggest chunk of meat he's ever seen. Him grabbing it as he does begin to start gnawing on it as he does walk through the mansion. Now, as it does happen, Midoriya does find a door that does lead outside. This is his chance. Shit. Okay, I need to find something to defend myself. People might be outside. If there are people patrolling, then I can't waste this. Now, Midoriya does look around more, heading back to the kitchen and grabbing a knife. As he does begin to start running through the forest. He's got it. Okay, this is perfect. Midoriya does think. As you do then have where an arrow, it flies through the air from one of the trees. And Midoriya, he does suddenly hit the ground. Now, as it does happen, Midoriya, he does go to roll over. And he's confused as to what just happened. As he does look down towards one of his legs. And he does have the arrow through directly above, or let's say about 2 feet above his kneecap. And it's gone completely through his leg. Midoriya, looking at that in shock as he does scream out in pain. And he does then go to try and stand back up. As he does hear something in the back of his head. And he doesn't really pay attention to it. To Midoriya, all he heard was some strange mumbling. Since he's trying not to focus on this pain. It's excruciating to him. And he doesn't understand. Where did that come from? Now, Midoriya, he does stand back onto his feet. And he does limply continue moving forwards. Now, Midoriya, he thinks he's gotten away. As we do then have where Midoriya, he does sit against a tree. About 3 miles away from where he was shot. Now, Midoriya, he does look down at his leg. And he does then look at the arrow. Now, Midoriya, he does do one thing. Putting the knife in his mouth as he does then bring his hands down. Midoriya grabbing the area where the wound is. Now, Midoriya, he does reach for the bow, or reach for the arrow, and go to actually try and move it. Now, Midoriya, he does find the arrow does move. Okay. Midoriya deciding to break the part that's directly above where he can see. Midoriya reaching on the other side of his leg, and he does pull it straight through as he does try to cover his screams. Now, after that does happen, Midoriya, he does drop the arrow. And he does just sit there for 1 second, as he does go to try to wrap his leg. Now, eventually somebody does come up. And it's a small band of those bandits Midoriya was captured by. As soon as Midoriya, he does see them, he is in fear. Him turning to try and run. Now, we do then have where they do order Midoriya to stop. Midoriya falling forwards and dropping to his knees, as he does grab at his neck. Now, Midoriya, he does feel this pain as it does immediately stop. Midoriya, him then feeling exhausted, he does throw his hands down. You've disappointed me. Midoriya looking up. You really thought escape would be that easy. I had to teach you this lesson. They all go through it. All of us? Yes, all of you. Every single one. Every champion I've ever had. Every champion I do have. You think you're the only one? You aren't special, boy. Now, Midoriya he does see somebody walk out from behind this man, as they are holding a sword. And Midoriya his eyes do whiten. Is this person here to save him? Please, please. Now, the person directly walks by this man, and Midoriya he does feel his heart drop as a sword is thrown at his feet. Now, the real training does begin. Stand, take the blade, and fight. To the death, both of you. Now, Midoriya, his body begins to move. And Midoriya is screaming and trying to fight, trying to resist. As he does pick up the blade and take a stance. Now, Midoriya, he does then hear another voice. As he's confused by that. Who is talking? Now, Midoriya he does then begin to start rushing forwards as him and this boy, they do both begin to fight. And Midoriya he can tell. This kid's probably about 2 or 3 years younger than him. Shit! Now, the two are both battling. As the kid does stab downwards and slice the side of Midoriya's leg as Midoriya he did dodge. As he does swing his sword downwards and directly go to sever one of the kid's arms. Now, Midoriya does watch as the kid's arm does fall into the ground. The kid going to bring his hand up and scream at the limb Midoriya just chopped off. Now, the man does order Midoriya to kill his opponent. And Midoriya, he does begin to resist. Now, the man can see Midoriya's resistance. He's getting more and more defiant. Now, he does begin to start raising his voice, saying that that was an order. Now, Midoriya he does begin to feel his arms raise above his head, as there are tears streaming down Midoriya's face, and the blade does swing downwards. Now, shortly after that, Midoriya he began live combat training, and he did slowly begin to start giving up, as we do have one day. Midoriya has kept track of everyone he's ever killed, their faces, and what they look like. And he's often thought about them. As we do have where he's curled up in a ball today. It's very cold. And he doesn't even have a blanket. All he has is the dirty clothes that he had before. Now, Midoriya he does hear something as it does say something Midoriya hears clear as day. Cold resistance has risen. What was that? Now, Midoriya he does look around, asking who's there, as no voice does respond. That's strange. Oh god, am I going crazy? Shit. I feel like someone put a curse on me. Negative. No negative status effects other than curse symbol have been activated. What? Who said that? Now, Midoriya, he's surprised. Okay, wait. Status effects? Midoriya looking around. As out of the bottom of his vision, he does see something. Midoriya going to reach out and grab it. Now, this is where Midoriya, as he does grab it, he does see a tab fly open. Now, Midoriya he does stare at it surprised. What the hell? Now, a voice can be heard. Welcome. This is your guide, or tutorial. And these are your status effects. Now, Midoriya he does see that, as it does say slave collar. And it does have a infinite symbol right there. Midoriya is staring at that. Is this some sick joke? Negative. These are your status effects. These are the curses and or inflictions that you currently have upon your person. Of course it is. What are you to say? Talking about how he wants to see his resistances then. Now, this is where another tab does fly open, as it does say, of course. Now, it does mean to start talking to Midoriya as if he's in a video game. And Midoriya, he does begin to start reading everything. He has a few skills, and from what he has gathered, he also does apparently have a level. Now, Midoriya is currently level 3, and he is pissed. Now, Midoriya, he does have a, level 3 pain resistance, level 3 cold resistance. Midoriya has a level 1 healing factor. And Midoriya, he does then also have a level 2 swordsmanship. Now, Midoriya, he is staring at all of these, as he doesn't say, show me my skills. Now, this is whenever a blank tab does pop up. And Midoriya, he does stare at it. Is this it? Seriously? Show me my magic. Now, the system does inform Midoriya. He does not possess any magical skills. Now, Midoriya, he does grit his teeth, he does spin around and slam his fist directly into the wall. And he does begin to just start punching it over and over and over again, as he's screaming out in rage. Is this what he wanted? No, it isn't. He didn't deserve any of this. Now, Midoriya, he does eventually fall onto his knees, as he doesn't just bash his head into the wall. Now, Midoriya, he does bring his head backwards and smash directly forwards once again. And he does this over and over and over again. As Midoriya, he does have his head feel dizzy, him slamming his head against the wall once again as he does then just look down. This is pissing him off so much. Why? Why does it just get worse? The way he's being treated. Back in the other world, it was so much better than this. It was a paradise compared to this. This place is ugly. It's disgusting. It's cruel. Now, somebody they do walk into the room. As they do, look directly at Midoriya. And Midoriya, he does hear somebody laugh. As Midoriya, he would turn around, he does have his face covered in blood. As the person right there is the mercenary captain. The one who has been training Midoriya for the last 2 months in swordsmanship. Kid, do you really think it's going to be that easy to kill yourself? It's not. Now, the servant Midoriya has seen before. She does open the door and walk in. Her bending down to her knees as she does heal Midoriya's face. And she does then ask Izuku to see his hands. It's not going to be easy to kill yourself that way, Dorzaya. Now, did anyone confused as to what this means? Now, I took the Japanese translation for both slave and property and put 2 parts of them from each together. Do is the beginning part or beginning half of slave. Zaya is also the beginning half of property. And Dozaya, I feel like it does fit. Now, Midoriya, he does stare at the man and inform him that he will kill him. Really? What makes you say that? I will one day. I will find a way to kill you. And when that happens, Midoriya does say, him staring the man down with intense bloodlust, saying that his days will be numbered. Now, the man he does feel this threat, and his heart does temporarily stop for 1 second. As Midoriya, he has gained a skill. Now, Midoriya, he does go to look in the corner of his screen, as he does hold out one of his hands and press it directly down towards his right. The man confuses why Midoriya did do that. Midoriya using his eyes to find his skills. Now, Midoriya, he has gained a skill, it being called Bloodlust. And Midoriya, he does go to level that up, watching it jump from level 0 to level 3. And then the system asks Midoriya if he would like to spend his additional skill points. Now, Midoriya, he is confused, as he does look around the system more and put these points into his strength. Now, after that does happen, Midoriya's strength jumps from a, let's just say, 7 to, it jumps to a 15. Now, with that, we do then have where the next day, Midoriya and the man are facing off in combat. As we do have Midoriya who's running around with a samurai sword, and the man, he's running around with a long blade. Midoriya, he's moving around and slashing and trying to attack the man. Now, the man is surprised, as he's facing off against Midoriya. Midoriya, he has shown a massive improvement from the previous week. And we do have the Master Midoriya to serve under, who he is staring this down. Now, it's very interesting. Midoriya, he seems to have virtually improved overnight. My. Since when did this happen? Now, we do then have a Midoriya, he does swing his blade overhead, him swinging it down as the two do clash blades. And the man, he does then hold the blade directly downwards and begin to start cutting in Midoriya's cheek. Midoriya then bringing up his hand and going to smash his blade with his left hand downwards and cutting down into the man's shoulder armor. The man getting pissed, he does then headbutt Midoriya and go to grab out a second blade. Now, he does go to slash upwards and he does cut into Midoriya's chest as he did jump backwards. Midoriya then holding onto the blade as he does then go to rush forwards. Midoriya throwing the blade outwards in front of him as he does rush in. Now, the man did stare down at the blade as he does go to start to move to dodge. Midoriya using the skill Bloodlust as the man, he does freeze, and the blade does fly directly into his shoulder. And Midoriya, he did rush in. Now, the man, he felt that particular strange thing, as he felt mana being used. Now, the man's men, they did then rush forwards and go to protect their boss, as Midoriya, he was held down by 4 men, as he was also then commanded to stay still. Now, the boss, he did get up, grabbing the blade and pulling it out of his shoulder, as he did then look back towards Izuku. You little shit. Now, the man rushed forwards as he did pull out his small knife, informing Midoriya that that wasn't what he was supposed to do. They're training in combat, fighting, and he'll show an example of him. The man going to grab Midoriya as he does then go to grab him by his tongue. Midoriya biting down onto the man's knuckles as the guy, he does smash Midoriya across the side of the face with the butt end of his blade. As he does then grab Midoriya's tongue and begin to start cutting into it. Stop. What is it? I ordered you to train the boy, and that tongue of his may be useful. Really? And what makes you say that? Easy. He just used mana. Mana? Yes. He has the ability to use magic. I see. Just like what? One of those rarities? What do you call them again? I'm aware of what they are called, and I'm aware of what he is, which means I got a good deal on him. So, just take a small portion of that tongue, the tip if you will, since many spells can be used with it. Do you understand me? Now, the man does nod. Him slicing off the front of Midoriya's tongue or the tip of it, as Midoriya does then go to pull his tongue into his mouth. And the guy did expect to hear Midoriya begin to start screaming. Now, Midoriya, he was not screaming, and the guy did stare at Midoriya, telling him to let out a sound or do anything, as he did just begin to start punching Midoriya across the face, over and over. Midoriya, hitting the ground as he does, get back up and onto his feet, bringing up both of his hands. Now, the man, he stared Midoriya down, and he was pissed, as he does go to rush in and go to throw a fist directly at Midoriya. The guy socking Midoriya across the face, as Midoriya, he was punched with a lot of force. Now, Midoriya, he did then bring his left hand up and smash the guy directly in his own face, as he sent the guy flying. Now, everyone did see Midoriya send this guy about 7 feet, and he was in full armor. Now, the man that bought Midoriya, he did see this, and he did begin to start laughing as he was pleased with himself. This boy is truly a prodigy. Now, he did then order them to release him, and he did then tell a battalion of men to face off against him. Now, the men did face off against Midoriya, as the battle did commence, and we do have Midoriya all that time later in the winter. Midoriya's cold resistance has jumped to level 10, and Midoriya, he doesn't even really feel it anymore. He doesn't feel a lot. His pain resistance hit level 15. And then there's his swordsmanship, which is currently at level 9. And then there is Midoriya's strength. Midoriya, he has put a lot of points into strength, charisma, agility, or not charisma, dexterity, and many other things, increasing his speed, along with how he can move, along with what he can sense. Midoriya is currently able to hear things from almost a mile away, and his line of sight, it's quite incredible itself. Now, the day is slowly approaching. Midoriya has also tried leveling up his resistances, and there was one Midoriya did gain recently. Midoriya has gained a unique skill, as it's called resistant to order. Now, Midoriya was quite surprised. This unique skill, as it was explained to him, it will take a lot of skill points to level up. However, the reward for it is a unique resistance Midoriya wants, that he needs. A resistance to orders. Now, Midoriya, he was excited the day he learned about this, as that was earlier today in the cold. And Midoriya, he smiled for the first time in a long time, as we do have the look on Midoriya's face. And it's quite similar to his hero killer Stain, however with a sadistic smile added onto it. Now, with that being said, I do believe that is a good point to leave this what if off of, and I do hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing night. Catch you guys on the next part.